Right out of nursing school, I worked at a children's hospital in Columbia, South Carolina, and the acute care floor was attached to the pediatric intensive care unit floor, which was attached to the bone marrow transplant floor. And I would be pulled in all these different areas depending on staffing. And I was pulled one night to a family of a child that had a bone marrow transplant that didn't go as planned. And I was really touched by that kind of work. Of course, it's clinical. Nursing is clinical in many ways, but there was a richer experience there, emotionally, spiritually, just being there to connect the family and advocating for the family time together really drew me into, I would say, hospice at a very young age of a nurse, right out of school. I think that that first experience for me really cemented in my heart the importance of family-centered care. How important it is, especially for children that have limited life expectancy. Every moment is vital, and it will help. The more purpose we put in each moment, the better the family does in bereavement. And I think that that's the surviving piece. We support the family unit, and although that we know the child is going to pass, we want that family unit to remain as intact as possible. So it's important to have that family-centered plan of care in place so that they feel supported across the spectrum of the child's illness. We try to empower the mom and the dad to be confident caregivers. We stand and we support them because we want them to feel like they're still parenting their child even through a terminal illness, that they still have control and they have the ability to provide tenderness and comfort to their child. And so we teach the parents, ultimately knowing that they're going to care for the child and it's going to enhance their experience and also the child's bonding to the parents. I think it's very common to mirror the adult population nursing when that happens. We do see signs and symptoms. With children, one of the things that is really special to us, oftentimes is children will have dreams. And they'll start this communication with their parents before they even really start showing the symptoms. And so we listen to what the children say. We're very intentional of that. Our social worker and our chaplain, they spend time with each child to listen to what they're thinking, because it's, like I said, it's often the children that tell us first before we even start to see the clinical signs. Children are very in tune with their bodies and a spiritual world that we don't see or we don't really open our hearts to. So I think the first thing for us as a pediatric hospice team is to listen to the children, and the purity and the honesty that comes through that really helps the parents embrace the hardest thing they've ever had to go through. But I think that is our key, is listening to the children. Well, personally, I love Atlanta, and I feel like we represent every culture that you can imagine. And we've joked at our pediatric team meetings that we functioned in a medical missionary role. We at one time had a family from Thailand and a family all at the same time, a family from Mexico and a family from Honduras, and we get to see grief across what it would look like across the world. And I think that enhances our ability to care for families and parents from all demographics, and it just increases the care that we can provide here in Atlanta. So that's why I stay here. I was just mentioning to a coworker a few minutes ago is that we are caring for a 16-year-old with a brain tumor right now. He's at end of life, and he's gone through those stages of communicating to his family, his dreams and his hopes. We're able to come in and really stand and lock arms with his family. This child is indigent. It has no billable insurance, and we're able to provide the care that we would provide to a family that did have the resources, just as we would any other family that came to us. And it's because of the fundraising and the donors and the people in the community that pour into our organization that allow us to do that and to meet the needs of the community when they need it the most. Especially in our team, pediatric hospice, I don't think that any family should have to go through that alone. And because of the donors, the families around Atlanta don't have to. It was extremely challenging for them to lose their children. And I think part of hospice is taking care of the patient while they're here, but also the family after the patient's gone. And that's what I love about Hospice Atlanta, is that we follow our families for 2 years after the death of a child. And that's critical. It is critical to a family surviving such tragedy. And tragedy can be from a traumatic event or a terminal illness, but it's tragedy nonetheless, and the families need support. So that's kind of like my personal mission in this, and the reason that hospice kind of has me for the rest of my life, because I understand the importance.